And now, the general weather around Alaska.
Starting out with the hazards map, we've got up here to the north, there's a winter storm watch out for the entire Arctic coast tonight and Thursday for winds out of the east-northeast, 35 to 55 miles per hour, reducing visibilities in some areas in heavy snow and blowing snow. And then here through the central interior areas, winter weather advisories from about the Alaska Range northward. Those are for wind advisories for winds gusting anywhere from 35 to 55 miles per hour there as well. South of the Alaska Range, winter weather advisory in the Susitna Valley for snow, and also winter weather advisory for the Kenai Peninsula for the same thing, for additional snow and some gusty winds, mixed precipitation as well. Anchorage area, winter storm warning out tonight into early Thursday morning for heavy snow, possibly 4 to 8 inches in town and up to a foot or more along the hillside. And same thing, Copper River Basin, heavy snow warning out there for additional heavy snowfall. And then the North Gulf Coast here, looking at a high wind warning for the entire North Gulf Coast, Yakutat to Cordova specifically, for winds gusting 65 to 85 miles per hour tonight into early Thursday. And the 85-mile-an-hour gust forecast for Cordova, around 65 miles an hour for Yakutat. And high wind warning continues out for Prince of Wales Island for winds gusting to 65 miles an hour, again for tonight. And moving on to satellite imagery, here's the storm system actually down here, kind of a weaker one sliding northward. A lot of moisture coming from the southeast up to the north here, bringing the snow into the North Gulf, or rain, heavy rain into the North Gulf Coast today. Cordova in the 12-hour period ending at 3 p.m. this afternoon picked up 2 3/4 inches of rain. Otherwise, to the west, lighter Mount Seward out about a half an inch over at Yakutat as well. And Yakutat had peak wind gusts so far, 58 miles per hour. Cordova seeing peak wind gusts there of about just under 50 miles an hour. And 55 to 65 mile an hour peak wind gusts at Point Hope, with the strong winds up along the Arctic coast there, really due to the gradient of high over the Arctic and then the falling pressures here over southern Alaska, helping to tighten that gradient up there. Also, Delta Junction seeing winds gusting close to 50 miles an hour today out of the east and southeast. Winds on the increase here for the southeast coast. And then back out to the west, another system here sliding eastward across the southern Bering Sea, pushing kind of a ill-defined front here into the central Aleutians. And there's that system today right about in this position. That's more or less a warm front here in advance of the, of course, in advance of the cold front farther back to the west. They'll continue to move off to the east-southeast. Otherwise, scattered showers here over the southeastern Bering Sea. And you can see the tighter gradient here up over the north-central interior to the Arctic coast with those strong winds. And then this strong front pushing northward here. This is the first round. And this is the system here that's been moving eastward, east-northeastward, already taking a turn to the northwest, and will follow this frontal boundary right up to about Resurrection Bay, as we'll see tonight, heading right up that way, deepening down to 958 millibars. Again, high wind warnings out from the North Gulf Coast, strong winds in advance of this front here, moving into the Panhandle with the heaviest precipitation up along the North Gulf Coast, Copper River Basin into western Prince William Sound. Lighter amounts back to the northwest here along this trough axis. And again, winter weather advisories with wind advisories up here associated with the snow and blowing snow. This system here dropping off to the southeast, and for tomorrow takes a turn to the east, keeping the precipitation south of Kodiak Island. And again, colder air starting to come southward here over the Bering Sea. Still backed up here to the north, though. This low really weakens as it continues to move fairly rapidly to the north and northwest, crossing the Denali Park area late tomorrow afternoon. And so precipitation winds will improve dramatically here, especially for the North Gulf Coast, but won't end completely. Stays unsettled for the Panhandle with numerous showers of rain or snow, mostly rain at the lower elevation. Same thing for the North Gulf Coast areas. And looking ahead to Friday, that system takes a turn to the northeast, starts to deepen. That's going to be more of a blow to the southeast coast, or have more of a direct hit on the Panhandle there as that front swings in. So wind and rain on the increase again there. And some wind and rain will increase along the North Gulf Coast, but nothing like today's storm and tonight's storm. Mostly easterly flow here will kind of restrict the precipitation to the coast range southward. Some of that will work into western Prince William Sound, eastern Kenai Peninsula, but drying out over the central and eastern interior. Low here over the Yukon Delta, most of the precipitation with that back to the west here, eastern Bering Sea. That driving cold air southward here in the Bering Sea, the rain snow line getting down to about the Pribilofs. Probably see snowfall levels at sea level there, but staying in the form of rain here for the Alaska Peninsula and eastern Aleutian areas. Much colder air will come across south central Alaska actually tomorrow night and Friday. So highs will be in the lower 30s for Friday as opposed to lower 40s for tomorrow. And speaking of temperatures, lows tonight, teens in the Arctic coast, either side of zero for the Brooks Range. Really mild here, south central Alaska in the mid-30s. And near 40 places like Valdez, mid-30s Kodiak Island. Other side of the Alaska Range, much colder, 5 to 15 there in the Kuskokwim Valley. And lows lower 20s here. Quite a range actually north of the eastern Aleutians, or eastern Alaska Range, and in the 40s for the southeast coast. Then the highs tomorrow, 40 to 45, south central Alaska. Starting to cool off in the afternoon down towards Homer, Seldovia. Some colder air comes through Kamishak Bay. As you can see, much colder west of the Alaska Range still. Highs in the teens there. And upper 30s, lower 40s. Copper River Basin, highs in the 40s for the Panhandle. Notice 41 degrees, a forecast high for Eagle. And then for Friday morning, temperatures back down into the 20s here, south central Alaska, mid-20s Copper River Basin, 5 to 15 there in the Tanana Valley, dropping back down to around 20 or the upper teens for Eagle. Upper 30s to near or lower 40s for the southeast coast, upper 20s for Kodiak Island, 5 to 15 for Bristol Bay, single numbers for the Kuskokwim Valley, and back into the 20s toward the coast there. And then the highs for Friday afternoon, 30 to 35. South central Alaska, mid-20s Copper River Basin, really cooling off up here over the eastern interior from what you'll see tomorrow, back down 15 to 20 there in the Tanana Valley, back toward Galena. Mid-20s for Eagle, lower 20s for the Arctic coast, in the 40s for the southeast coast.